Keith, are you aware that they had half a team out in an atmosphere like Ross County? You don't think we should be winning that game? And I think what Frankie's alluding to is the fact that on the bench,
it's an opportunity missed.
They had 5 teenagers and 2 goalies on the bench.
Yeah,
is it an opportunity missed?
I can see why some people will say that, but I come back to it. You know, these Celtic fans, many of them have followed this team over the last couple of decades, all over Europe, to away grounds everywhere, some more hostile than others. And they've suffered a little bit. They've suffered a lot, actually. So see, when you're now got a Celtic side that if you're not going to win the match, don't lose it. It's that old saying. And that would be my kind of yardstick for Celtic away in Europe. You know, if you can come back undefeated, going away to whatever it is, whatever far-flung destination you've been sent to, if you come back, and unless we're talking about real minnows, but this is the Champions League we're talking about. Yeah. There are no minnows. Young boys, perhaps, will be and Slovan Bratislava would be 2 that you would look at and say, well, they're games that you should win, right, home or away. But the good news is for Celtic, they've got young boys at Celtic Park. They've beaten Slovan Bratislava at Celtic Park. They've now went 2 away games in the Champions League, the top level of European football, and they've come back with 2 clean sheets and 2 points.
Yeah.
Now, you know, we can be hypercritical, but, you know, we've been critical of Celtic previously for failing to do the obvious things and the pragmatic things. So now that they're doing them and they're getting points, I don't know. I think that would be a bit... I think it's overly harsh.
Yeah.
I just think you've got to realise the context of the competition that you're playing in, the quality of the teams that you're coming up against. I accept 100% that Dinamo Zagreb were undermanned a little bit there, and that wasn't their top team. But take your breaks. Take your breaks. Celtic were comfortable. It's not as if, you know, we're talking about Schmeichel making one save that he should make. He's not been flying about all over his 6-yard box, you know, making miraculous blocks and last gasp tackles flying in. That was a Celtic controlled away performance in Europe. And after years of watching Celtic be anything but controlled and composed away from home in Europe, I think this is a sign of progress. I think it's a sign, as I said, after Bergamo, that they are coming of age, or they have come of age now at this level as a Champions League side. And surely that's what Celtic fans have been crying out for over the years.
Yeah.
We're not going to start getting all Ange Postecoglou and Spurs here, are we? And start saying that's not attractive enough. That's not the Celtic way. Are we? Is that the argument we're going to have?
No, I don't think so. No.
Well, it seems like Kaiser thinks that.
Let me throw a couple of more fan comments at you. This one from Sean. I suppose you're correct, Keith. Sean, away for a lie down. Stephen Emery, watching live on YouTube. Celtic have been a joke in Europe for 10 years. This campaign has been brilliant. I wish people would understand we're small fry at the top table in Europe. 9 points so far is excellent. And just to go back to what you were saying, Keith, I think whether or not the small fries, if that's the right phrase, Celtic haven't won away from home in the Champions League for 7 years.
Yeah,
so,
and elect.
Aye, so I think you're spot on when you say every point away from home is a bonus.
Do you know what? And it's all about the growth and progression of this side. See, when you go to Dortmund and you get your pants pulled down in spectacular fashion, that can be so damaging to confidence. All of a sudden, you've got players who think they're good players, and they go into their shell a little bit because they've just had an absolute hiding. They're nowhere near as good as they thought they were. Mm-hmm. That was a really dangerous moment for Brendan Rodgers, because had he gone to face Atalanta and Bergamo and something similar had happened, then it really can not only impact on what you're trying to build on a European platform, but what you're doing domestically as well. Mm-hmm. Because players hurt and they question themselves and they start to doubt themselves. Mm-hmm. So for Rodgers to get a grip of that side and to make the tactical tweaks that made them so much more difficult to play through in Italy, and again tonight, well, that's progression. And